Mercedes' hopes of snatching Max Verstappen away from Red Bull have officially hit a dead end. The Dutchman is now firmly locked in with Red Bull for the 2026 Formula One season, as a key performance clause in his contract that could have opened the door to a shock exit can no longer be triggered. But is that the only reason Verstappen didn't jump ship? Or did the behavior of a certain team principal influence the Dutchman's final decision? Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this. For years, it's been rumored that Verstappen's deal, which runs through 2028, contains performance-related break clauses. These could allow him to explore other options if he failed to meet certain championship standings by the summer break each season. For 2026, that window is now closed. Verstappen could have activated an exit clause if he had dropped outside the top three in the drivers' standings after the Hungarian Grand Prix. But thanks to a strong showing at the Belgian Grand Prix, including a win in the sprint race, he's now mathematically locked into the top three for the summer break cutoff. His closest challenger, Mercedes' George Russell, sits 28 points adrift after scoring 0 in the Spa sprint and finishing 5th in the main race. With just 25 points up for grabs in Hungary and no bonus points on offer this season, even a Russell win paired with a Verstappen DNF wouldn't be enough to change the standings. While Verstappen staying with Red Bull into 2026 was always the most probable outcome, this confirmation takes the uncertainty off the table. It's also a timely boost for new Red Bull team principal Laurent Mekies, who can now focus on long-term performance without the looming threat of a Verstappen contract renegotiation. Had Verstappen fallen outside the top three, a contract renegotiation, or even an exit, wouldn't have been off the cards. The reigning champion has made it clear that his loyalty lies with whichever team gives him the fastest car, and Red Bull's mid-season wobble had reportedly sparked conversations between his camp and Mercedes. Mekies has already acknowledged that the key to keeping Verstappen committed long-term is simple: build the best car on the grid. And now, with 2026 secured, Red Bull has one less fire to put out. He said, "In terms of priority, I'm sure Max wants a fast car. If we get him a fast car, I'm sure it's cancelling out all the other considerations." So, really, the focus is very much to try to get to know the team as quickly as possible in order to see how we can support, how we can build the next step of competitiveness in order to get a fast car, and hence to make it an easy call for Max. Verstappen himself said this before the Belgian Grand Prix. "In general, I'm pretty happy where I'm at, and I hope, and that is still the target that we set out when we signed the new deal, that I will drive here until the end of my career." A move away from Red Bull for Max Verstappen in 2026 was always a long shot, and for good reason. With sweeping regulation changes arriving next season, the competitive landscape is anyone's guess. No team, no matter how confident, can guarantee they'll have the fastest car when the new rules kick in. But don't rule out a future switch just yet. It's understood Verstappen has another break clause lined up for 2027, one that kicks in if he falls outside the top two in the standings by next summer's break. If Red Bull falters under the new rules and another team surges ahead, that's when the drama could start over again. Still, is performance the only reason Verstappen is steering clear of Mercedes? Or is there another factor, say, a certain team boss named Toto Wolff? Former Mercedes driver and 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg certainly thinks so. He described negotiating with Wolff as horrible, claiming the Austrian team principal tends to mysteriously vanish when talks get tense. That reputation might not sit well with Verstappen's camp, especially when dealing with the high-stakes, high-pressure world of F1 mega-deals. Meanwhile, George Russell, Mercedes' current man in the hot seat, remains unsigned for 2026. His contract status has been one of the sport's hottest talking points, especially with Verstappen rumours swirling earlier this year. But with Max increasingly likely to stay loyal to Red Bull, all eyes are now back on Russell. The question now is, when will Mercedes make it official and lock him in for the long term? Nico Rosberg was quick to point out just how certain Russell was in shutting down any suggestion that a deal would be finalised or even announced before the summer break, which officially begins after the Hungarian Grand Prix. Speaking on Sky Sports, the 2016 world champion said, "Did you hear George Russell? He was like, oh no, definitely I won't have a contract signed by Hungary. Like so definitive that he knows nothing's going to happen until Hungary, so there must be something cooking there, right?" When reminded that the Hungarian GP was just a week away, Rosberg underscored how little time remains in the season post-break, raising the stakes as teams look to finalize their 2026 lineups before time runs out. Sure, but it's like we're in August then. There's only a couple of months left after that to the end of the season. And he's like, oh no, for sure, I'm not going to have a contract yet. That's a bit extreme, no? Pressed on what it's like to sit across the negotiating table from Toto Wolff, the former Mercedes driver offered a glimpse behind the scenes, describing how Wolff often resorts to disappearing as a negotiation tactic, a strategy that could frustrate even the most seasoned drivers and their teams. Toto's horrible to negotiate with because his tactic is to disappear, Rosberg revealed. So when you try, like George now, he's trying to get hold of him, Toto will disappear. George will be trying to write Toto to get him to get a move on or whatever, and Toto disappears. And he will have figured out how to avoid the blue ticks on WhatsApp as well. So as soon as the message pops up as a notification, you just read the first part of it. You don't actually open it. I remember from my time, that was his style. Just like disappearing, not answering, being hard to reach. And it's horrible because you're like, come on, you have nothing. You have no chance. Do whatever you can. You need to find a way to cross paths. Red Bull senior advisor Helmut Marko has verbally confirmed that Max Verstappen will remain with the team for the 2026 Formula One season. Speaking to Sport.de, the Austrian revealed that Verstappen is now fully committed to Red Bull as the sport prepares to enter a new chapter under its upcoming regulation overhaul. He said, "Yes, I can confirm that Max Verstappen will drive for Red Bull in 2026. He also said that Red Bull's Austrian headquarters is tightening its grip on the team's Formula One operations, signaling a major power shift. The exit of team principal Christian Horner is just the first move in what appears to be a sweeping internal restructuring. For the past 18 months, an intense and often ruthless power struggle has simmered behind the scenes at Red Bull. Now, the dust is beginning to settle, and it's clear who emerged victorious. Enter Oliver Mintzlaff, one of the three CEOs installed as part of Red Bull founder Dietrich Mateschitz's succession plan. Mintzlaff, who made headlines earlier this year for his visibly frosty demeanor during Red Bull's F175 launch at London's O2 Arena, where he appeared less than amused, sharing the spotlight with Horner and wife Geri, has now made his move. Speaking to Sky Germany at the Belgian Grand Prix, Helmut Marko said, "The decision was made by the management, namely Oliver Mintzlaff. Various factors played a role, but above all, the performance wasn't quite what we had envisioned. If Red Bull's dominance over the past 20 years was built entirely under Christian Horner's watch, how well do you think they'll do without him? Let me hear from you in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.